See here. All right, I'm going to get started. I'm a prompt person. So, good evening, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Welcome to Expressing Motherhood. I'm Lindsay Cavett. I'm a Los Angeles mother to 3 kids. They are 14, 10, and 9, and I have been directing this live stage show generally for a really long time now. And I'm very grateful that you're here with me tonight with all of us, and that we're closing out 2020 with an evening of story sharing. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to open up submissions this week for our January show. So please let your friends and family know and check back with Expressing Motherhood. And I just want to encourage you to share your story about motherhood. There's no intermission, and we'll have about a 10-minute Q&A with the cast after the show. So feel free to stick around. Again, thank you so much for being here during these incredibly stressful, weird times and supporting mom writers. All right, enjoy the show. So first up, we have Lisette Cruz. I'm gonna find you, Lisette, there you are. And Lisette is a mom of 3 handsome boys, ages 15, 13, and 7. And she is, oh my God, okay, part-time nanny of 2 wonderful kids. And she loves animals. Her girl is her cute little dog, Dolly. Her passion is listening to podcasts in her alone time, which is while she is cleaning. And she says podcasts have really helped her discover who she is and the parent she wants to be, and they help remind herself it's never too late to pursue her dreams. And Lisette has been in Expressing Motherhood a few times before, and you can hear some of her stories on the Expressing Motherhood podcast. Okay, Lisette.
Thank you. Parenting in this pandemic has been challenging, overwhelming, and chaotic for me. I almost felt like the mouse that ran away from the cat, but forgot that the hawk was up its back. I had to face the challenges of helping my kids with their remote learning, and at the same time, help myself and to learn how to communicate with their teachers and school staff via email and via all those apps that I had to learn how to navigate. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to have empathy for my kids because I felt like no one had empathy for me. I know I'm the mother, and just like always, I had to know what to do in every hard situation. But this time I was lost. I'm the one who needed support and guidance, or just someone to reassure me that we were all going to be fine. I wanted to be there for my kids and understand that we were all riding this emotion roller coaster that was making 360-degree turns. But how can you be for your kids in mind and body when you feel out of your mind and your body? I was overwhelmed with our financial situation because if my husband and I would lose our jobs, how are we going to pay for our bills? What was I to do? Stay home and take care of my family and not get sick, or work and take care of the bills? Every day was chaotic for me. I didn't want mornings to come because I was scared to know what new challenges I was going to face. Was I going to start another fight with my 13-year-old? Because apparently for him, virtual classes were only to keep them busy, but the school year was not going to count. Was I going to stay on hold for hours with my car finance company, just trying to get a hold of the manager so I could request a payment extension? Or was I going to argue with my manager because she claimed that the building owner said she was not charity and that I had to find a way to pay for my rent or else would get the 3-day notice? I had so much on my plate and I couldn't hide that from the kids. They knew we were in a pandemic and they knew we were facing financial problems, but they didn't understand why their birthdays were not celebrated, why I didn't get them the gifts I promised, why I was such a bad mother and I didn't allow my 15-year-old son to go play basketball with his one friend. How dangerous can it be? He would yell at me if it was just only the 2 of them. I had my meltdowns and my super bad mood days, where I would cuss at my kids and slam the door at their faces, or just burst into tears out of the nowhere. I almost felt like a different person. I wanted my kids to empathize with me and feel for me when they were just as lost as I was. I'm usually an optimistic person, and I always try to find the good in the bad. But this was just too much to sort out in just a short period of time. With all this going through my head, I knew I had to find help, and I decided to contact a therapist. I've listened to podcasts about personal and emotional support, and I kind of knew I needed some sort of help. But I never really took the time to do so until this COVID hit. Podcasts have been a very powerful tool for me. I really love and enjoy listening to them when I clean. That's the time I have for myself to be present and analyze what I hear and what relates to me. They have opened another world and have helped me discover who I am and the mom I want to be. They've also helped me to come out of my shell and be more open with my emotions and my feelings. This pandemic has shown me that no matter how difficult things get, as long as we stick together as a family, we can overcome any situation. I also learned that it's okay to have my meltdowns. I'll just blame that to my inner child. Kiddos have learned their lesson as well. I'm sure they'll think twice before they slam the door in my face because now they know how it feels. It's now been 8 months. We're still struggling financially because my husband has not been working since March. But fortunately, I'm still working, and we have found our ways to cover one hole while we uncover another one. But that's all right. I'm a great believer that the sun does shine after the rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisette. All right, next up we have Jen Lewandowski. She's a writer living in Portland, Oregon, where she is raising two amazing girls, Maisie and Harper. And in her spare time, she likes to read, bake, and get lost in the woods. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Lindsay. Okay. There isn't a big enough perimeter for my shame. This is what I think while bawling into the front yard of the 1910 farmhouse I bought 2 months ago, a wide berth of fenced, treed space to contain my sobs, though not to hold the shame of tonight. I have just left my daughter in her bedroom upstairs, clutching my leg like a life raft, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Don't leave," blocking the door, slamming the door, throwing her whole weight against the floor. This house, our new home, the one I hoped would be a balm for our pandemic-worn souls, a disruptor of this years-long pattern at our old place, shudders under the force of her blows. The fir floors, the lath and plaster walls, the crooked joints and swollen doors shaking from the violence. I am shaking from the violence she lets loose with me and her sister, her voice that is raw and unabating. "Don't leave, I need you," on repeat. The violence I do to her when she is chasing me, grabbing me, wrapping her 11-year-old body around my leg, her person more cumbersome and threatening than it used to be, and I am trying to pry her off, shake her off, swat her with the miniskirt in my hand to get her to loosen her grip, lest I fall over or on her. She is so angry. I am so angry. I haven't had a drink in 19 years, but every time this happens, it feels like I have. This pandemic has not helped us move forward. Moving into a new house has not helped us get perspective. Now we have more room to stretch out in the trapped feeling, more square footage to wear ourselves and each other down with disappointment and frustration, more rooms to retreat to, more time to undo the goodwill we try to build anew each day. On my porch, painted the color of overcast and rain, I am torn up. I love being in this house when it holds us gently. I hate being here when the swirl of despair fills the space with a truth we did not invite to move in with us. I cry into the darkening sky. This day, like every other, spent in front of screens, learning, working, escaping, and again. Our old neighbors never included us, never really liked us because of the screaming. This is what I tell myself. For 9 years, there was screaming, her screaming, which triggered my fight or flight, which triggered her sister's exasperation and withdrawal, the three of us harmonizing our pain. Every time the questions, why am I such a terrible mom? Why can't I make it stop? On my porch, I asked the same while crumpled and shuddering. Bicyclists and dogs and my neighbor's daughter smoking on her porch, inhaling what cannot be contained, all bear witness. In this state of sameness, we are pushed to the limits. My daughter's the interminableness of things, disappointment about all she'll miss this year, her first of middle school. Mine, the unyieldingness of struggle. In this house, twice as big as the last, a moat of laurel hedge and boxwood, apple trees and grapevines surrounding us, the shame rushes out and over, messily, unpredictably. But if the shame is tidal, so too is my tenderness towards suffering, after a time settling under us like thick sediment, one more wobbly layer of our foundation. The sun has set. It is quiet now. I open her door, light crossing dark. She is tucked into an old jade leather chair, her plump cheeks, one dimpled, though you can't see it now, streaked with wet. Her copper hair curled and matted from hard-won sweat, her eyes red and swollen. We all are clutching, feeling around in this particular darkness, struggling to make it out. I press my face to hers, inhale her cheek smell, her preteen girl smell, feel the damp transfer of grief. I wrap my arms around her, and she lets me.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you. Okay, next up we have Melissa Gold. Melissa's essays have appeared in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and more. And her first book, Widowish, a memoir, will be released in February, and it's available for pre-order. You can find out more about her book at widowish.com. Okay, Melissa, I'm gonna come get you.
Okay.
There you are. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Okay. I went to the weed shop with my 20-year-old daughter the other night. I'm running low on weed, she smiled, in case you want to go with me to get more. I didn't even pretend to feign shock. My daughter smokes pot, and given the current state of the world, now I sort of do too. When she was still away at college, 1,000 miles from home, and news of the coronavirus was just starting to break, I was in a literal panic. I was afraid of state borders closing. I worried about air travel and the contagiousness of COVID-19. I feared, perhaps irrationally, that she wouldn't be able to make it home. It was during this waiting period that I found myself at the nearest green pharmacy in my neighborhood, impulsively stocking up on anything that I thought would help quell my anxiety. I'm old enough to know that I'm more of a martini girl than a marijuana girl, but I was looking for something to make me feel free of worry and anxiety. I also needed something at night to help me not just fall asleep, but stay asleep instead of obsessing at 3 a.m. about the safety of my daughter, about our lack of leadership and general state of the world, and whether or not I stocked up on enough chocolate. The charismatic guy behind the counter convinced me to buy some cartridges, but when I got home, I was plagued by more anxieties. Should I really be smoking cartridges that are full of carcinogens and stuff that's bad for my lungs? Doesn't this virus affect our lungs? What was I thinking? It was easy to remember when I turned on the news and saw that Italy, as in the entire country, was going on lockdown. I immediately reached for my new purchase, but I couldn't figure out how to open it. Thankfully, there was a YouTube video. After a few inelegant puffs, I decided I felt better. I was actually giddy. So giddy, I called my pot-loving 80-year-old father who lives in New York to tell him I was high. Far out, he said. Good going. He is awed by the fact that grass is legal in California. So on one of his summer visits, my daughter took him to a green pharmacy. They both still talk about it. I've never seen Grandpa so happy, my daughter says, like a kid in a candy store. But my high was fleeting. After a few days, if not hours, I was back to my usual worry and upset. I was even getting paranoid. Was all this smoking pot making me susceptible to the virus? I wanted my girl home, and the weed I hoped would offer me a reprieve didn't. I texted my boyfriend's son, who lives in marijuana Mecca in Northern California. He grows his own flower, and as an environmental studies major about to graduate, I trust his expertise. I sent him a photo of the goods I bought. Only in LA, he texted back. You want dank weed. What you got is stank. When my daughter finally arrived home, safe and sound a week later, I was sure my anxiety would dissipate. And it did for a minute. But it's since been almost a year of mask wearing, social distancing, protests and rallies, and lies upon lies from the White House. So when my daughter said she was going to the weed store, I thought I could get the dank weed both she and my boyfriend's son speak so highly of. My mom just needs to chill out, my daughter explained to the lovely sales girl. I left with an edible and 2 pre-rolls. It's possible they're dank. I'm not really sure, as I've noticed little change in my demeanor. My daughter is concerned that I may not be inhaling correctly. And that's when it hit me. Maybe this whole time that I've been looking for something to inhale, perhaps all I really need to do is learn how to exhale.
Thanks, Melissa. Good reminder to breathe. Phew. Yes, it's legal in California. Once I ordered it and it arrived in 5 minutes, but I don't like it. It was just some like CBD stuff. Okay, it's something else. Anyway, I'm glad it works for you. All right. So next up, we have Erica Curtis. She lives in Portland, Oregon with her husband, 2 children, 1 dog, and 3 chickens. She recently returned to writing fiction and she's at work on a young adult novel. All right, I'm gonna find you, Erica. Hold on 1 second. Okay, thanks, Erica. Erica, unmute. Yeah, you got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. My 10-year-old daughter is lying face down on the floor crying about an assignment her teacher returned for a 2nd time. Some days I get down on the floor and cry with her. Some days I cry at her. Some days I pretend I'm a grown-up, patch her back up, prop her up in the chair, tell her to keep going. None of it ever feels completely right, and today I have the energy for nothing. So, school is done for the day, go play. She wants help finding a Lego guy. Which guy? The guy who looks like this, but he has different pants. Why not use that guy then? No, I can't. This one is a criminal. She laughs at my blank face. In her Lego world, she is the wizard. The rules are gorgeously complex, and they make very little sense to me. My logic is not currency here. Neither is anyone else's. COVID doesn't live here. Right now, she loves to build dorms. The people are all friends. They live close to each other, drop by and come inside each other's houses, eat meals together, have sleepovers, play basketball. Do you want to build an apartment building? She asked me. I'm surprised to find that I do. I sift through a bin looking for building pieces. It's amazing how muscle memory takes over. Without even thinking, I start to find window and door frames, placing them aside for later. And as I hunt, I pull out the things that don't belong, the things that have drifted in over the years. An eraser in the shape of an egg. There used to be a chick inside. A piece of a rabbit hutch from a Playmobil set. A flattened souvenir penny from the Children's Museum. A starburst wrapper. A piece of string. I start to build my apartment building. Open floor plan, kind of an urban loft style. Rooftop garden is still in development. My son wanders in. You're playing, Mama? I'm amused along with him. I am. Want to join us? But he's 14. He does not. I place the bricks, look for pieces that will work for a floor. My daughter needs a handful of 2s. We find and then we click the pieces in place. All the while, though it's on low volume, the Worry playlist runs in the back of my mind. The Worry playlist is always on. It's a 24-hour streaming station. I shouldn't be sitting on the floor playing in the middle of the afternoon. But also, I don't spend enough time with my children. I don't know if my kids are brushing their teeth enough. I don't know if I am. Actually, I think I'm grinding my teeth in my sleep. We're probably all going to lose our teeth. I should go see what my son is doing right now. I should talk to him more. But also, my son needs less of me, looking over his shoulder. I should be keeping up better with my running. But also, my hip started making this weird hollow pop when I lift my knee. I don't know if my daughter should be struggling so much with her assignments. I don't know if I have the energy to address it. How can I teach her to manage her time when I never learned how myself? Am I mother enough to get us through this healthy and whole? How can I be when I need to take so many crying breaks? What am I going to make for dinner? Our nachos dinner. Want to know what I love about Legos? My daughter asks. She says that you know from the beginning that you won't be able to make the building all one color. There aren't enough bricks of any color for that. So you make it Lego colors, she says, all different colors. And it ends up looking very cool. I stare at her for a second. My beautiful, complicated, brilliant girl. She's probably going to be okay. I let some of my worries about her go. Not the one about the teeth, though. Typical for me, I've pushed the layers of bricks together so tightly that they may never come apart. Kind of like how my molars are going to be if I don't stop grinding them. I hold up my 3-story apartment building, move in ready, and twist it back and forth, showing off. That's really good, Mama. Thank you, baby. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Erica. All right, next up we have Alexia Carter. And Alexia Carter is a writer who lives in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California with her husband, her twin teenage sons, and 2 cats. She took early retirement from a local government job to better advocate for her kids' special education needs. She enjoys taking long walks and volunteering with political campaigns and local nonprofit organizations. All right, Alexia.
Thank you. Today, I rejoice that something so mundane as the simple act of making breakfast for my twin teenagers can be so rewarding. Food is complicated in our house. It's one of the only things I go out to shop for during this year of the pandemic. There aren't many reasons to leave the house, but grocery shopping is one of them. In the division of labor in our family, my husband is the breadwinner, and I'm the designated shopper. We're grateful that he has a job he can do from home and that I'm free to run the errands. I do almost all the cooking now too, and I'll be honest, I haven't always loved cooking. When I worked full-time, I rushed to make meals and it stressed me out. Now that I'm retired and everything's been canceled by COVID, I have time to relax in the kitchen, and I've come to enjoy cooking. I'd like it even better if I could make a meal for my whole family to share just once. It wouldn't be realistic to aim for that to happen once a day or even once a week, but it would make me happy to do it once. Unfortunately, we all have food issues. I have IBS and I can't eat wheat or dairy products. My husband, because of medication he takes, has to monitor his intake of leafy green vegetables. We're both watching our weight. Our sons both have autism, and they're both what most people would call picky eaters. They're also both underweight. It's been a struggle to feed our boys over the years, but I've learned to navigate their preferences and aversions. It's not the approach every parent would follow, I know. I can hear my mother's voice in my head. I'm not a short order cook. This is dinner. If you're hungry, you'll eat it. I don't like making 4 separate individual meals for my family, but that's what happens most days. One son can't stomach the smell of margarine or the texture of chicken. One son can't handle melted cheese in a burrito, but he likes it on top of his chili. That's a texture thing too, he tells me. When both kids like what I fix for them to eat, it's like hitting a jackpot for me, and that's what happened today. The son who likes the same thing for breakfast the same way every day had his usual. 2 frozen hash brown patties and 6 vegetarian bacon strips, and he polished it off as usual. The son who's more open to variety, but also less easy to please, made a rare specific request: corn tortillas with seasoned ground beef, onions, lettuce, and tomato. And halfway through his first taco, he said, "Hey, Mom," and held up his thumb. Once when the boys were little, I was on the phone with a friend who's now lost to me. And I mentioned how good it felt to serve food to my kids and see them enjoy it, how surprised I was by the intensity of that feeling. "Oh my God," she said, "I think moms are hardwired that way. It's like you see them eating and your breasts practically start to express milk." We both laughed and laughed. I missed talking with her and laughing, but our friendship was a casualty of politics. Not this election, but the last one. The acrimony in the atmosphere these days, all the fear and the loss of these times, reminds me of how much I miss my old friend and how sad I am that we haven't been able to go back to what we were. I thought of my friend when I saw people arguing on Facebook about this year's election. I thought of her when I calmed myself by cooking while I watched the confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett. The smells of comfort food, peanut butter cookies, sweet potato leek soup, cornbread muffins, filled the kitchen, and I felt cocooned, separate and safe from the chaos in the news. I ground myself by focusing on my little family of 4, by caring for us, feeding us, being grateful for us. It's the best I can do these days.
Yay. Thanks, Alexia. Okay, next up, we have Samantha Selinger-Morris. She's a journalist for the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age newspapers in Sydney, Australia, and a mother of 3 children aged 14, 12, and 7. All right, Sam.
Thanks.
Gotcha.
I chucked my brown paper bag with my lunch in it down on the boardwalk in front of my husband and 3 children. "Fuck this," I said, storming off. I continued muttering, "Fuck, fuck," while passing a young mother wearing ripped jean shorts and carrying a wooden bike for her blonde toddler. After a few blocks, I stopped and turned around. "I was having a good time today until you talked about bad stuff and ruined it," said my 6-year-old son with stormy eyes. "Just checking you still love me?" said my eldest son, 13, looking as though he'd just heard a car backfire and thought for a moment that it might have been a shotgun. But I guess not all Mother's Days can be winners. Turns out I still have a few tiny unresolved issues about the sacrifices of parenting. Also, earlier that day, my 11-year-old daughter threw her Mother's Day card in my face. She didn't want to go out. And my eldest son wouldn't stop pestering me about how long we'd be out. The celebration of my 13 years as a shepherd of 3 innocent children at Bondi Beach in Sydney ended with my thanking them for enabling me to teach them that this is what life is, not just joy, but rage and sadness too. I reassured them that a mother's love is unbreakable. Inside, I felt like tearing my hair out in a fit of Hulkian rage. Now, the stress of parenting has long made me feel, even before the pandemic hit, like I was drowning on dry land. With my family in Canada and my husband's family, let's say, disinclined to entwine themselves with the shit and piss of family life, though they live nearby, I have often felt, while grappling to manage my children's needs, my own career ambition, and frequent desire to be left alone, like a desperate animal, eyes darting this way and that while looking for food. Our 2 months in pandemic lockdown, my husband and I shuffling between our frequently weeping 6-year-old, our older kids, and our own work, did not put a spring in my step. Then there's the other plague-related mishigas. For the first time in my life, I've been unable to fly to Toronto to visit my father's grave. He died nearly 16 years ago, so I'm used to visiting only sporadically. But to be prohibited from seeing his grave has left me feeling a fresh, chopped down tree grief over his death. When I go for walks now, I frequently end up with tears brimming in my eyes. Meanwhile, my youngest son has taken to slipping notes under my office door like a POW during wartime. "Mom, please come out of your office because I cannot bear this anymore. Love from Flynn," said a recent one. This is because I've been working more than ever before. I'm lucky to have a job. Thousands of journalists like myself have been laid off during the pandemic in Australia, where I live. This has not done wonders for my perennial fear of rejection. So while my son's notes make my stomach drop, I wince, give him a quick hug, and then keep typing. I want to make myself unthrowawayable. But Mother's Day was nearly 7 months ago. Have I developed the skills to better manage the overwhelm? Listen, there's still a ways to go. A couple of months ago, after a rare outing with a group of girlfriends left me so elated that I ignored a growing pressure in my bladder, I peed my pants in my car. Worse, I've started downloading Billy Joel songs. The sappier the better lately, to make me cry and enjoy some animal release. But I've had some startling wins too. The other week, while sitting next to my eldest son as he showed me his Star Wars Lego, I felt as though I'd been conked over the head with a frying pan like Wile E. Coyote in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I looked into his eyes, lit up with excitement, and I finally got it. You don't need to care about what your children play with. I used to pinch my thighs hard to help deal with the boredom, but rather the joy to be had is in simply witnessing what ignites their hearts. I felt so lucky in the next moment for all that I have. It was as though someone had poured a goblet of liquid sunshine over my head. I'm going to try and remember that the next time I feel like chucking a tantrum.
Thanks, Sam. Woo! Our second person from overseas, so it's very exciting to have you. Okay, next up we have Sharon. Sharon McErney, sorry Sharon, is a retired Montessori teacher and early interventionist. She lives on a lake in New Jersey with her husband and 2 Irish setters. Her daughter and grandchildren live in Berlin. She is longing for the day when she can see them all again. Okay, Sharon.
This is the window into the life of a faraway grandmother.
Oh, hold on. Sharon?
Oh,
Oh,
what happened?
I
Wait.
see a window. I think you have
Wait
to.
a minute.
Okay.
What happened?
I don't know. Did you flip the camera?
No.
Oh God.
Wait a minute.
Did you?
I can't move.
Uh-oh.
There's the window.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, this is so embarrassing. How do I fix
No,
this?
it's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank God.
Hello.
Okay. I thought when you said you couldn't move, like, all right. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So that was not the window. This is the window into the life of a faraway grandmother. I visit in dreams now. It's always been too far, much too far away. The place where one small face, now 2 small faces, wait to smile and charm me. In a cozy apartment filled with art and books and flowers and giant windows looking down on the street below. There's music too. It has a little kitchen where the food and wine happen, and a long hall with shoes lined up by the door. The Frenchie wiggles and smiles behind the gate. Her babies call to me from these faraway rooms. The distance never sat easy. Instead, it sat like a lump in the throat, like the extra beat when the heart emphatically shouts no, and the witch sense screams something unintelligible. On the other side of a continent, on the other side of the ocean, it was much too far away. So back across the continent, not 11 or 12 or 14 hours, with a layover in vast stretches in strange airports like before, but 6 hours, civilized. I was closer now, following quietly just behind, like the mother rabbit in the runaway bunny. The goddess must have laughed and laughed when I begged her pardon and told her my plans. I warned you to be careful what you ask for, she said. You won't believe me when I tell you. You won't be back to visit for quite a while, a long while. There's a pandemic, for real, a global pandemic. It's here. Your passport is useless. More than 1 million people will die, millions more sickened, livelihoods lost, families in despair. Borders will close, I'm not kidding. It's worse than we ever imagined, these troubles to come. You'll find peace on the lake, though. There'll be herons and hawks. The owls and the mourning doves will sing to you, but you'll cry. Why? How? When can I go? Not for a very long time, she told me. So I dream of wandering down the cobbled streets again to the pharmacy or the toy store, the hot dog stand. I'd stop for flowers and a nice bottle of Italian wine with the image of her mother in the stroller in front of me, smiling and singing just as lovely as she can be. We'd nod and smile at the neighbors with their polite and terribly well-behaved dogs. Or maybe we'd sit on the market square just 2 blocks down on a bench under the lindens, watching a big boy now ride a two-wheeler on a beautiful October evening. His red curls bouncing under his little helmet, his gleeful squeals would make me smile to know, yeah, this is heaven right here. I could walk in another 2 blocks with him to the playground in the blue plastic car, the one that named the playground for us when he was small. The playground where we sat for the first time, my chubby baby grandson and I, in quiet contemplation of it all, in celebration of our time together in blue cars and sandboxes, and a perfect afternoon in the shade. He's taller now since the last time I saw him, and his golden curls are gone. He rides ponies now as well as that two-wheeler. He has hundreds of words, a sense of humor, and so many new friends. The tiny girl with the impossibly long eyelashes and the sweetest smile is a toddler now. She's laughing and dancing and learning the ways of a small person's world. I tell myself to be satisfied that they're safe where they are, much safer than here, and that the sadness of missing them will be equal to, but not greater than, the delight I will feel when I can hop off a plane at Tegel. I'll get in a cab and go home to the little apartment in Schönenberg where those small faces wait. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I know grandparents are missed, certainly. Okay. Next up, we have Amy Nyer. Amy is a physical therapist, writer, and mom living in Southern California with her husband and 5-year-old son. This is her 2nd time performing with Expressing Motherhood, and she says she's grateful for the opportunity to share her story with you all tonight, and we're grateful to have her. Okay, Amy.
Most kids during this pandemic have been craving social interaction, school, a play date, anything that resembles life before COVID-19. So 7 months into this pandemic, most kids would have been thrilled when their mom finally set up a play date for them, albeit a masked play date in the backyard. My son is not like most kids. Beyond his lack of enthusiasm to spend time with peers, he is a 5-year-old with several chronic medical conditions, including dependence on a feeding tube. He describes himself as shy, and while he has the most beautiful imagination, he often has difficulty sharing his unique world with others. Socializing with peers has never come easy for him, and this quarantining lifestyle hasn't exactly helped. Because of his chronic medical conditions, we have always been extra careful regarding his exposure to viruses and potential allergens. Stay-at-home orders due to COVID-19 were not that new for us due to the precautions we've always taken for our son's health. Social distancing is our jam. I could write the handbook on how to avoid social gatherings while offending all of your friends and family. But by mid-October, his social phobia was growing too great to ignore. And after discussing it with his doctors and psychologist, we decided that at this point, the benefit of staying at home no longer outweighed the risk of social isolation. So I set up a masked backyard playdate. The mom is someone I've known for most of my adult life, and the family was taking the risk of COVID very seriously. As far as COVID playdates go, this felt physically and emotionally pretty safe. But my impression of safety did not translate to my son's safety. He feels better when he knows what to expect. So several hours before the play date, I gave him a play-by-play that went a little something like this. Sweetie, in 4 hours, you, me, and May, who's my mom, we're gonna go outside and have a play date. And it's gonna be with mommy's friend and her 2 kids. No, I don't want to go outside. Okay, but it's gonna be really a very short visit, and May and I will help you play with our friends. We can play bubbles and we can play with chalk. You and May can go outside to play. I will stay inside with orange garbage truck and red car. Well, when our guests arrived, I stuck with my plan, ushering my mom outside so that my son would know he needed to follow. Predictably, he also kept with his plan and he stayed inside, refusing to come out. All of the bubbles in the world were in my backyard and he would not budge. 30 minutes and several gentle reminders later, he decided he would finally join our bubble party. He held my hand tightly as he walked down the 2 steps leading to our yard. I want you to stay with me, Mommy, he begged. I want you to set a 1-minute timer and then I can go back inside. I will set a timer soon, sweetie, and I'll be next to you the whole time if you need. What transpired was a 25-minute play date filled with laughter, turn-taking, chasing bubbles, and lots of reassuring hand squeezes from my mom and me. When he was done, he politely asked to go back inside with my mom, and when our friends left, he waved goodbye to them through the window. That night, he told me that he enjoyed playing with his new friends. 4.5 hours of anxiety and avoidance for a 25-minute play date. Was it worth it? Absolutely. The build-up to the play date was difficult for him and me, but he learned, and I was reminded, that we could still have positive experiences despite our fears and anxieties and despite COVID-19. And if the stress of COVID gets to be too much, or you simply just don't have that extra to overcome whatever challenge you're facing that day, you could always stay inside with your very own orange garbage truck and red car.
Yay. Thanks, Amy. All right, next up we have Milena. Milena is a writer and performer and mother of 3 young children. She also teaches drama on Zoom to elementary school students in Los Angeles. All right, Milena. There you go. You got it.
Can you hear me? Yes? Sorry.
Yes.
I was at an 8-year-old socially distanced, but still fully catered birthday party in Malibu last month. All the moms were blonde and thin and wearing varying shades of white, like all of them. I was sure under their masks, their skin was flawless and their teeth shiny and white. I was grateful for my mask, covering my adult acne and my yellowing teeth, which I soaked daily in black coffee and nightly in red wine. The dads were all tall and muscled, and there was a lot of talk about microdosing and keto. I mean, these are all lovely people, they really, really are, but it was just that kind of party. I was talking to Charlotte, a beautiful and petite, super successful mom with a sleek ebony braid and luminous green eyes. Pre-COVID, she traveled the world as a celebrity stylist. I hadn't seen her in a few years. How are you? I asked, expecting the usual COVID answer. Oh, you know, we're all healthy, so there's that. Or perhaps the darker response, which is my MO. You know, super anxious, eating all the bread, drinking all the wine, gaining all the weight, questioning my existence, wondering why I had kids, wondering what attracted me to my spouse in the first place, wondering if our country will remain a democracy, something like that. Instead, Charlotte said to my question, you know, I have really come to appreciate what my husband does, and he has a greater appreciation of what I do, of who I am. We're in a great place. Quarantine has brought us closer. I nodded maniacally as I swallowed down a piece of grain-free muffin. Wow, that's great, I said with as much cheer as I could muster. But I wanted to scream, closer? Quarantine has brought you closer? I wanted to pull her braid and then spill my kombucha on her pristine white t-shirt, then cry. Of course, this is not Charlotte's fault. I was just jealous. Who are these couples who have been brought to their knees by the pandemic, then help each other rise in unison, stronger than ever? On the drive home through the canyons, I pondered my marriage and quarantine. Working from home has not been easy for my husband. A creative type, he needs space and time and apparently complete silence to create. Sometimes he wanders into the kitchen at noon, hungry for a lunch that is definitely not prepared. Sometimes he disappears into his office and only emerges when I bang on the door, looking for an extra set of hands at 7 p.m. I felt overwhelmed by our 3 kids and a new job, and annoyed that he was working quietly and undisturbed, just feet away from the chaos that engulfed our home. I would see him making calls, work calls, yes, but they looked fun. He was laughing. It was peak stress in our little bungalow. So the next day, I realized something had to be done to improve the all-around marital mood. Together, we made the unprecedented decision to upgrade our old king-size Sealy mattress for a king-size Casper that adjusts. I admit at first it was exciting. Zzz, my head went up. Zzz, my head went down. The kids had a ball with the remotes, up, down, up, down. My husband fell in love with the zero gravity mode and would listen to his doomsday climate change podcasts while seeming very blissed out. But actually sleeping on it, it was lonely. It was split in the middle, so each person got their own space, which is nice in theory, but I felt disconnected. I craved the warmth of another body, the reassurance that a quick kick to his shins would stop his incessant snoring. So we sent it back. But a new problem appeared. We tossed our old king mattress, and all we had was this old double bed that had been in the guest room, which of course was now our kids' classroom. A double bed. Yes, bigger than a twin, but also smaller than a king. Much smaller. We were used to a king. And let's be honest, sometimes we slept in different rooms altogether. He snores, kicks, and fidgets in his sleep. I read late, get up to pee at least twice, and sometimes stare at the ceiling for hours. So to be in a small bed on the floor, no less, well, I was nervous. But an interesting thing happened. We actually started sleeping together and touching, my hand on his back, his leg on my leg, like we did when we first started living together. And being close, really just physically close, is shifting something, creating patience and intimacy through osmosis. We still have to deal with our preschooler who loves yelling, "Fuck!" A 6-year-old who habitually steals my phone to take pictures of her nostrils, which is pretty cute, actually, and a 9-year-old who just learned that slamming doors is an effective way to convey anger. I hear them right now, they're outside. Distance learning, snacks, so many lunches, and our country becoming a dystopian nightmare. Well, it's a lot. But at the end of the day, sorry, when we roll into our double bed on the floor, it's nice to know we're just inches away from each other. So maybe I shouldn't have been so quick to eye roll Charlotte. Maybe the pandemic has brought us closer. It just took us a little bit longer and a comfy old double mattress to do it. So here we are.
They have very good timing.
I mean,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Oh my God. It's okay. Thanks, Milena. All right. Next up, we have Shannon Noel. Shannon is half of Mommy Tonk, and normally Stacy would be here tonight performing as a duo of Mommy Tonk, but Stacy's recovering from some planned surgery. She's doing well. We miss her, of course, and you can check out Mommy Tonk for upcoming shows of theirs. Okay, hi, Shannon.
Hi, that was so funny, Milena. Oh my gosh, that was cracking me up. Oh goodness. Yes, I want to send a big shout out to my comedy partner, Stacy. I wish you were here tonight, and I know you're recovering and you're going to recover fast so we can get back at it. We have a show in February, everybody, so keep tuned. But anyway, I really wanted to just say happy quarantine to everybody and say, I don't know if it's really been all that bad, I mean, it has been challenging for sure, but I mean, some things good have come out of it. I reconnected with an old friend recently, and that felt good. That was fun, safely, of course, online. And I looked up some old friends on Facebook. Looked up some old boyfriends on Facebook, too. That was fun. You know, I just checked in on them on Twitter and Google Satellite, you know, just to see how they're doing. Not creepy or anything. Anyway, look, I don't know if this is right, but if it's wrong, I'm not sure I want to be right, you know? Look, maybe you run into somebody when you're out in the world with your mask on, and you see somebody else that you used to know, and they have their mask on, and you look them in the eyes, and you get those old feelings inside, you know, and it feels good in there, and you feel alive again. You know what I'm talking about? I think it might just be a good thing. Anyway, this is a little love song I wrote to someone I reconnected with recently, and I hope he hears it tonight. Well, I've loved you in the morning, and I've loved you in the night. Well, I've loved you through my darkest days, and I've loved you through the light. Well, you are never far away, you're always real nearby. I just type you in my GPS, and I put my car in drive. Well, it's just you and me, Del Taco, and I'll take a number 9. Yes, I know you don't serve Pepsi here, Coca-Cola will be fine. And a mini churro dipper shake, for I'm desperate and I'm blue. Sometimes I need to run away, and I escape to your drive-thru. For I love Del Taco true. Now some folks say it's crazy serving tacos with French fries. They don't see what I see when I look into your eyes. Well, I see someone who cares for me and knows just what I need. 2 extra packs of hot sauce and a meal not made by me. Well, it's just you and me, Del Taco, and I'll take a number 9. I left the kids at home alone tonight, playing Fortnite, they'll be fine. I'll sit alone inside my minivan and shove you in my face. I'll let your grease drip down my cheekbones, your shredded cheese fall in my space. For I love my taco place. Now even though so many things feel different than before, when I see that red and yellow light of your little taco store, I know I can depend on you to lift me from this gloom. For you're the only friend I see in person, not on Zoom. So it's just you and me, Del Taco, and I'll take a number 9. I find comfort in our secret as I wait here in this line. For together we'll be better, my love for you grows strong. We'll eat our way through quarantine, and that's how we'll get along. For this is my Del Taco song. I love you, Del Taco. Don't you ever forget it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Shannon and Mommy Talk. Okay, so next up, we have 2 more performances. We have Yasmin Dunn. She is an educator, a producer, writer, and reader. And to manage her pandemic anxiety, she is learning to speak Russian and play the violin. She is thrilled to be back on the Expressing Motherhood stage. And it's always thrilling when people return to share a story. So Yasmin, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My daughter is an artist, a very good one for her age. It makes sense. Her father is an artist, and like him, she expresses her understanding of the world through pictures. Her pictures reflect her world, one filled with puppies and calico critters and family dinners. Of course, it came as a huge shock to discover that her world also includes my worst parenting moment captured forever in colored pencil. It happened a few months ago as she was showing us her drawings of Halloween decorations and possible costume ideas. I asked to see her sketchbook and look at more of her artwork. She hid the sketchbook and said, "Not this page, okay? It might make you mad." Well, naturally, I wanted to see it. And against my better judgment, I asked what the picture was. Furtively, she held out her sketchbook. "Please don't be mad, Mommy." There it was, literally in black and white in front of my face. She had drawn a picture of me standing over her and yelling while she held on tightly to the dog and cowered in fear. This was not how I pictured my pandemic behavior. Even now, I'm trying desperately to sugarcoat this memory and pretend that I behaved better than I did, or pretend that her drawing was an exaggeration. I didn't, and it wasn't. I asked her if this was a picture of me yelling at her, and she said it was. She said that she was holding the dog because I yell at the dog too. I wanted to cry. I wanted to ask her about all the times I didn't yell, and why didn't she draw those? What about all the morning snuggling in my bed watching My Little Pony? What about the dance parties? What about the fun, damn it? Instead, I sighed and said, "Okay," and walked away, muttering something about starting the day on a less than positive note. When I got to my bedroom, the full weight of what happened hit me, and I cried. She was right, of course. As much as I thought my pandemic parenting was calm and positive and fun, it was actually sad, frustrated, and stressed. The weight of working full-time, managing online school, and trying to make sense of an increasingly crazy and unkind world had turned me into a yeller. I yelled at dinner when talking politics. I yelled at the news. I yelled about why we still had to yell Black Lives Matter. But I also yelled at the dog for just being a dog. And I yelled at my daughter, sometimes just for being an 8-year-old. I never wanted to be this person. I'm the youngest of 4 and have distinct memories of feeling like I was just in the way and that people were annoyed by my mere existence. I never wanted to make my child feel that. But that is the toll of pandemic parenting. Being stuck in the house with my husband, child, parents, and 2 dogs has brought out my worst instincts. I just want to be alone and have some time and space that is my own, which is a sentiment I feel in the best of times. So you can imagine how it feels not having left the house since March. However, one of the things I've learned in parenting is that it's not always about me. My feelings and thoughts and emotions are not the most important. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and get over yourself. After crying a bit in my room, I asked my daughter to come talk to me. I told her that it was okay for her to draw whatever she wanted, and that I would never be mad about how she expresses herself. And most importantly, that it was my job as her mom to give her better memories to draw. Was this the last time I yelled? No way. This pandemic is stressful and I'm not perfect. But did I apologize faster? Yes. All of us are doing the best we can, and sometimes that just looks like apologizing and moving on to better memories. Thank you.
Thanks, Yasmin. Yeah, I can read the comments, but I think everybody can probably relate to that. So thank you. We have one more performer here, everybody, and if you want to stick around for about 10 minutes, we could do a Q&A. We have, from Vermont, Molly Ritpo. She is a writer who lives with her husband and lively daughter, Jimmy, in Burlington, Vermont. She sends her love and gratitude to her family and friends for their endless support, and a special cheer to the Vermamas. Okay, let's see. Molly, I'm gonna get you. There you go, Molly.
Fall 2020. It's all been said already. The Zoom fatigue and failures of remote learning, and how insane it has been to handle everything, and how our planet is actually burning, and Black bodies were being killed, and how little CBD gummies help, and how intense the election was, and how being a person is just hard right now, and how much I miss going to the movies. Not that I went that much anyway, but now their doors are shut. I saw a mom I sort of know at Trader Joe's the other day, buy the pasta. She was pushing her baby in a stroller and said that the baby is smiling now. even at people who are masked. It's too much to ask of a baby to do, I thought, as I watched them walk by. The months when my daughter's preschool was closed were hard and closed in on me, reminiscent of the first winter when I was grappling with postpartum anxiety. In the beginning, we didn't know if it was okay to hug my mom, so we didn't, and it hurt so much. I didn't know how to see her without diving into her arms. My daughter and I awkwardly stood outside, shivering under our coats and waving to her outside the door. It felt so unnatural. I sobbed in my car afterwards, and I knew she was sobbing in her kitchen too. And now, months later, we wear our masks, and going to Trader Joe's doesn't feel as overwhelming. But the longing for how it used to be remains, blanketing the vibrant Vermont fall. This season is usually my favorite, but this one is couched in something else. It's the prelude to a dark winter that promises not much social interaction, and the ending of outdoor dining and the fear of another shutdown is palpable and likely. I went to a COVID funeral, and it was devastating. Everyone looked weary and uncomfortable and unfamiliar, standing apart and clutching the arms of their partners. I watched two little girls run across the cemetery, their blonde hair trailing in the wind. Seeing them run free juxtaposed to the masked mourners was overwhelming. I don't know how to do this, a friend lamented to me over Zoom. I said I didn't either. She looked tired, and we were each holding wine glasses. The days at home loop together, beginning with coffee and ending with wine. Sometimes the space between them gets shorter and shorter. The Jewish high holidays came and went. We honored Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I prayed with a delightful congregation in Los Angeles after my daughter was asleep. I was glad to have been able to mark the holiday, but I wish it could have been with others. I wish we could have collectively chanted the Alhet, the prayer of collective repentance, in person. Judaism is big on community, and I'm often struck by how the liturgy isn't about the individual. It's instead a communal response to becoming more lonely, more loving. And yet, the loneliness of this pandemic persists. The images of concerts and sisterhood gatherings and celebrations and even travel flood my Facebook memory section, and seeing them hurts a little. How innocent it all seemed, how naive it all was, how we didn't know it could all end, all just stop in one quick motion, similar to how my daughter pushes things she doesn't want off of her high chair. I didn't know that social gatherings could be discarded, just as her broccoli. I think I am changed by the fact that what is important to me can end, and how we never know when it might be our last time seeing someone. When the independent bookstore finally opened up for in-store, socially distant, masked browsing, I almost wept. One afternoon in the height of COVID, I drove to a small farm about 40 minutes away to pick up a prepared meal. The kind farmer with dirt on his hands passed me the brown bag filled with nutritious food and said that in tough times, we all have to eat. I saw that a lot of community groups were giving away free meals to kids, and their kindness softened me. But then later, I read about more violence, and the local paper reported that a bunch of migrant workers had all contracted the virus as they picked apples, and more small businesses shut down. My kid is so happy to go back to school on his in-person days, says a friend, as we take a socially distant walk. I wonder how we will look back on this, I said to my husband recently. He works in the basement now and wears his coat when it's cold. I hope that our hearts aren't hardened by what we went through. I hope they are softened, and I hope that the first time when we get together in a crowded audience, we do so with deep joy and with deep understanding of how necessary it is to be together, how much humanity exists in and depends on these gatherings.
Okay, thanks, Molly. That is our show, everybody. Thank you so much for everybody who's been a cast member here, and thanks for everybody who attended. Everyone can unmute themselves, and if anybody has a question, we can do a Q&A for 10 minutes if you'd like. That was beautiful, Molly. Thank you.
Thank you.
We did it.
Great job, everybody. That was so
Oh,
fun.
God. Okay.
Good job, everyone.
Good job. Let's see if anybody has a question. I am going to do a January show, so I'll start accepting submissions this week, but I'll let you know what day. And anyway, I guess everyone's just saying thank you. Anyway, check out, of course, Melissa has a memoir coming out. You can pre-order it. And then Shannon of Mommy Tonk has a show coming up in February. Does anybody else have a book or anything?
No.
I'm gonna order pizza for the kids. That's about it. Okay.
Question.
I'm going to Del Taco.
Yeah,
What's going to be the theme for the January show?
that's what. You're very good, Lisette. Thank you. I'm gonna think about it for a few days. Yeah, but thank you. Okay. Oh, someone is saying, Jen, do you write?
I do. I really enjoy short fiction. That's kind of my thing, but I'd like to do more of it.
Let's see. And then I think it was Erica. Are you writing young adult novels? Is that you?
I've started on one, very early days though, and that's new for me. But yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I was talking to Melissa just, I think yesterday maybe, about the process of writing a book. And Melissa is probably going to join Expressing Motherhood for a live event to talk about that, and then also possibly do workshops on her own about the process of writing a book, which is so interesting and unknown to a lot of us, I think.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Yeah, I feel like it's just great to talk to other people who have kind of walked the path you're aspiring to walk. So I loved it. I loved our conversation.
Yeah. Parenting is hard right now, Delcy.
It looks like Megan has a question for Shannon.
Oh.
You match your shirt to your tree.
Yes, that is something I do every year.
Oh my God.
That's pretty amazing.
Oh, where is everybody from? I'd love to know where people, I mean, I know where you guys are from. Megan's from South Dakota.
I'm from Kentucky.
You're from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Portland. Okay, well, I know sometimes Zoom meetings hang on too long. I can end. You guys can just leave. It's fine.
Vermont.
Vermont.
Wait. Go feed your kids, Delcy says. Yeah, Central New York.
Central New York. All right, Connecticut.
Melissa, are you drinking a martini?
I drank a martini.
Nice.
Yes, I did.
I saw you earlier. Good.
Oh, I need to take a picture. Okay, ready? And I think 1, 2, 3. Yay. Alexia, we lost Alexia. Her Wi-Fi went out before the end. But she says, tell everybody thank you. Or she had a great time. Sorry. Oh God, technology's killing me tonight.
I just want to say I had no idea. I obviously I'm like new to Zoom. I would like to just thank all of you for your beautiful stories. I would have been chatting away. Wait, I don't even know where the chat box is. But anyway, it was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Anyway, thanks. Obviously, I'm not a Zoom professional. And thanks for giving Expressing Motherhood a try, because I'm really anal when it comes to my live shows. So normally those are really tight, but I think everything's so beautiful anyway, because life is so weird and messy right now. What's important are our stories being shared. So.
Well, I wish you could have seen the lake. It's right out my window, but it's dark. So
yeah. I'm just glad you showed up. Anyway, that was it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
So great.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
Lindsay.
think that's it. Okay.
Loved when the kids came
Thank
in,
you.
Milena. Oh my
Thank you
God.
so much. And keep in
Who
touch
said
with me.
that?
I did. And I
Bye-bye.
was dying. Shannon, I was dying when those kids were in the background. I was
Oh
like,
my
That
that
was
is the
great.
best
My
expressing
husband, I
motherhood.
literally was like, it's just 1 hour, 1 hour. And he had like left to take a walk and left them on the room. So they came looking for me.
Oh,
He
And
left.
then like, my audio wasn't right at the beginning. I'm like, Lindsay's going to kill me.
No.
No, it was amazing.
That's
It
so
was
funny.
so perfect.
It was perfect,
And
Milena.
the first line of your piece, Sharon, was like, "This is a window into a and like
Yeah.
you were looking at the window." I thought it was part of the piece.
Yeah.
see how I did that? Well, the goddess does things for me, obviously.
Yeah.
Your improv is great.
It's so nice to see moms from all over. Like we're all in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I wish it was noon tomorrow in my house. Almost bedtime.
Yeah. And make sure and tell your friends from all over because it's nice that we can get people from different cities and states right now. In
How
one
many people
show.
did you have watching, Linz? You had a bunch, like at least 90 or something, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
That's a
Yeah.
lot. That's so good.
It's awesome.
Good. Yeah. Anyway, okay, you guys, don't worry. Hop off.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna say
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
again
Thank
so
you.
much.
So
I'm
nice
gonna be
to
the
meet
last person to
Great
leave.
job.
Just letting you know.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Great job, everyone.
Same to you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. That was
Great job,
awesome.
everyone.
So fun.
Shannon.
I'll be here till the end. Look,
Oh
it's just
my
me and Jen. Oh, Jen left me. You
Jen
did
left you.
a great job.
Okay, good job,
It
Shannon.
was so good. Samantha, any
God,
relation to
that's
Catcher
so
in the Rye?
good.
Oh my God, my mom asked a question.
Connie,
She's-
where?
How did you match your shirt to? It said, "How are you any relation to Catcher in the Rye?"
Your mom?
No, yeah, she asked Samantha that.
Oh.
Maybe. What's Samantha's last name? Baron?
Oh, it is Selen.
Oh yeah, the person who J.D. Salinger, who wrote Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
I wonder if she is.
Mm.
Anyway,
I
what is
don't know.
Megan? What is Megan's husband's name?
Bill.
Bill Patel?
Oh, no, wait. Are you talking about Megan from South Dakota?
No, Megan. I'm sorry, Milena.
Oh, Milena. Yeah. What did you say?
I was trying to remember what his name was.
I can't remember.
I was trying to look him up because I think my
10
friend
people
knows
are
him.
watching us. 10 people are watching
Oh,
us.
hi, 10 people.
9. Okay. Anyway, good job, Shannon. I can't wait for your Mommy Talk show.
Me too. I think it's going to be February 13th.
Okay.
We're working on it, but it'll be
Yay.
you know, for lovers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, God. Okay, bye.
Great show, Linz.
No, you too. Thank you. You made me want Del
Thanks.
Taco. Bye.
I'm going right now.
I'm leaving.